Cambridge is a lovely city to grow up in. I think it's incredibly friendly, warm, and there's a lot to do. And I mean, growing up here, I think I was really lucky that with a disability such as visual impairment that I have, it has been on the whole a very warm reception, I guess. As far as growing up and going to school, obviously I had difficulties going to mainstream schools because a lot of people don't understand visual impairment, including teachers and teacher support. But on the whole, I would say I had a very happy childhood in this area, and Cambridge is always going to be home to me. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, as you say, pre-2012, I don't think people really took Paralympic sport that seriously. It was a bit of, oh, bless them, they're giving it a go, little disabled people, enjoying sport, rather than it being, athletes competing at the top level. But that all changed around London 2012. And for us in goalball, no one's heard of goalball. And so we will play, we're happy if we play in front of a crowd of 100, 200. And yet at London, in the Copper Box, we had 7,000 every single game cheering us on, willing us on to win. I mean, every time we walked out there or if we scored a goal, this absolute wall of noise just swallowed us up. And it was the most immense atmosphere you can imagine. And, for us now in goalball, obviously most of the time when I still say to people, oh, I play goalball, they say, what's that? But sometimes you get, oh, I watched that, I loved it, I rooted for you at the Paralympics. And that is the most, obviously I get in shock, but it's happened more and more. And it's incredible that it's giving the sport the recognition it deserves. It is incredibly tough, and I remember going out for the first game and thinking, oh my gosh, don't let the first shot in and don't wet yourself, because you can't wet yourself in front of 7,000 people. There was a lot of pressure, but equally it was the opportunity to show people exactly what we can do. And goalball is a unique sport, and it is specially designed for blind and visually impaired people. And people ask, is it endurance, is it power? Actually, it's a combination of both. But also the fact that we wear blindfolds, the concentration levels you have to keep throughout the entire game really does drain you by the end of the day. After a couple of games, I am wiped, and it is constantly being that switched on, because we've got to track one bell with balls in it that's travelling incredibly fast, and there's one line of defence of people. So if you make one false move, you let a goal in. So you can imagine the kind of pressure that results. I never particularly used to think that my sense of hearing was that much better than other people's until I started goalball, and it's like anything else, you train yourself up. So my hearing has become stronger and stronger and stronger, and now I am very much aware that my hearing is a lot better than other people's.
That's an interesting concept, isn't it?
It is, you train it, but I really believe that, because now I will know exactly where that ball is going and I can track it. Obviously everyone makes mistakes, but it's very rare for me to completely mistrack a ball. If I let a goal in, it's generally because I've got there, but my finger is out of place and so I flick it in. It is very much a very good way of training your sense of hearing, because when you do take away what sight you've got left, you've got no other choice but to rely on that. So it very much does strengthen it, I think.
Now, you're part of Team Insight, so for many people watching this video, they won't have heard of Team Insight.
Yeah.
So who are they and what do they do?
Basically what we do is we use the Paralympic sport of goalball as well as other blindfolded activities to deliver team building and visual impairment awareness training events for organisations. On the team building side of things, by taking away people's sense of sight, it forces them to work on clearer and more concise communication, teamwork, trusting one another, because what is scarier, falling backwards into someone's arms or running a blindfolded relay race where you're sprinting 18 metres just to the sound of your colleague's voice? But on the visual impairment side of things, we wanted to create something that actually gave people an insight into what it's like to be visually impaired and blind. And there is no better way of understanding that than putting yourselves in the shoes of visually impaired people. So when we take away that sense of sight, it's incredibly powerful because people suddenly find that actually it is incredibly daunting. But equally, we train them up so that they overcome that to a degree and break down the negative stereotypes of what visual impairment means. So it kind of ticks all the boxes as far as organisations go. So I think that often people think that their communication is a lot better than it necessarily is. When you take away the sense of sight, that is really emphasised because you can't say go over there because there means nothing. And whether you're disabled or not, often people will either when they're writing an email or doing something like that, be halfway through a conversation in their own head. And so whatever they write out makes sense to them. But you've got to think from the perspective of the receiver, what you're actually saying as opposed to what you think you're saying. And that happens all the time. You know, anyone who ever has emails in their role will understand that. But it is emphasised by that taking away the sense of sight. And so it is really strong, really powerful to make people realise that their communication might not be quite up to scratch.
So
it's about what message you actually portray, what message comes through from all the words, what is actually received. You know, it's really important to step away from how you're saying something or what you're saying to reading between the lines, getting the clear message across. And as you say, a lot of people can speak very confidently, say a lot of words, but not really say much. And so it is really important. I'd love to go and run a team insight session for the MPs so that could help clear up communication issues.
Because you've been able to...
I think people really transform throughout the workshops. The first thing we tend to do is put a pair of shades on everyone and then we guide them into a space, but we don't talk to them. And we then ask, how did that make you feel? And they feel daunted, they feel isolated, they feel disorientated, all those different things. And the fact is that they end up working their way up through the different exercises we do and through telling them, developing their communication and trust with one another. They end up being incredibly confident and overcoming all these obstacles and find it incredibly exhilarating. And it is, you know, pardon the pun, a real eye-opener for all the participants.